All right, so to continue on, let me give a quick update where we left off. We used two different methods of AI. The first one used target points as waypoints, and I showed you how to do random pathing and then fixed path. And then the second AI method used the spline, which the guy on the top there is doing. He's going to go ahead and follow that circle over and over and over again. And now the next one, I saved the best for last. We're going to create another AI. I don't know how creative I can get with these different guys as far as colors go, but we're going to create another one using C++ code along with a behavior tree and Blackboard components. Okay, so stick with me here and we will get this done. I forgot to mention in the video with the spline, because it was kind of the second video after the first one, there were some shared components that were needed, so I didn't cover it. So I'm going to first mention that when getting this all set up, anytime you're working with AI, you have to make sure you have a mesh bounding box. So essentially the green, right? I push P, turns it off. Where you find that over here is nav mesh, and it's right there. You would just drag that out, scale it out to the spots where you want your AI to walk, and that would be that. Okay, so that being said, I know that got me towards the end of one of my videos where I was, before I went into recording, it took me a good 20, 30 minutes to pound my head against the keyboard to realize that's what was missing. Um, but enough about that. Let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is some preliminary work, and that work is going to be creating some of the assets that we're going to need. So again, we're going to need some more classes here. So we're just going to go ahead and add them. We're going to create a new character class. This one here, I'm going to call guard. The second one, we're going to do the AI controller. And we're going to call this AI guard. And the last one, I want to briefly discuss. So we use target points. And the way we found these target points, we're doing a get all actors of class. So in order for this to work, how do I get around that? Because I want these guys to walk on their paths, and I want my new one here to go on a different path, which I kind of have set up here. I think I'm going to make them run in a circle. So how do I get around that? I create another class derived from the target point class. I'm going to call that guard target point. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I think we need to take a minute and just organize. So we're going to add another folder here, and we're going to call this AI blueprints. All right, so now we're going to come back down here, and the first thing we're going to need is, we're going to need a guard, and we can just create this and put it into our normal blueprints folder. And we're going to call this character BP underscore guard. Now we're going to need our AI component. BP underscore, and we're going to put this in the AI blueprints. And then the last one is our target point. And that as well is going to go into the same directory there. All right, so those are our 3 classes and blueprints. We're going to need a couple more things, and we're going to go ahead and create them in here. So if we right click and then go to AI, we're going to need a behavior tree. And same spot. Okay, so with these all being created, the next thing to do, if you're just starting from scratch at this point on your own project, this is where I would do the nav mesh bounding box. I would drag that in, and then, again, and you would start dragging it out to fill the world. I'm going to actually delete that because I already have one. All right, so like I was saying, I already have mine in here, and it kind of looks like this. Yours should look similar to that. So to turn it off, we just hit P again. And from here, we're going to start doing some small bits of coding. We're going to start setting up the blueprints and all that we have worked on, but we're going to start with our character. So we're going to go to the guard character, and we're just going to add a small piece of code in. In our header file, we're going to just quickly make a public uProperty. Going to be a edit anywhere category is going to be equal to AI, and it's going to be a class. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're just going to pass in a behavior tree and assign it to our character. We're going to quickly build that. All right, so now we're going to go back to the editor, and we're going to go to our blueprint for our character here, and BP guard. Going to come up here, type in AI, and we can now get this established, BP AI guard. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is come to our classes, and we're going to type a little bit of code, and it's going to be in the guard. So we're just going to go ahead and open it right up to the guard. And in here, underneath the public section, we're going to give our character a new property. And this is going to be a behavior tree property. And this is going to be a uProperty. We want it to be editable anywhere. And we're going to specify the category in which we want to put it. All right, with that being said, this is going to be a class, uBehavior, and we're going to have it point to the behavior tree. All right, we're going to compile and save. Okay, and now we can go to our blueprint character for the guard. We're going to type in AI like I already had. We're going to come down here and select our behavior tree that we created, and also make sure that our guard AI is selected. There are some other things we're going to do with our character, and I will do that right now. It's pretty straightforward. We've done it a few times, starting with, of course, the material. All right, so now what we're going to do, give it a mesh. Okay, so now with that all set, and we have our person in the world here, I just put him in here just for fun. But now we can go ahead and go back to our coding. The next one we're going to do here is mess with the AI guard right here. And we're going to start, of course, with the header file. Let's go ahead and put this, well, actually, let's just close these two, just so we don't get confused and start putting code in the wrong spot. That has happened, probably would happen again. So we're going to start with some includes. I'll go ahead and quickly get them put in, and then I will explain what they are. Okay, so here are the includes that we've just put in right there. The first one and second one are just adding in the classes that we actually created. It's going to be part of the AI. Then we added in the Kismet, which is going to allow us to get the custom target points that we created. And then of course the behavior tree and Blackboard components are being included here. So now we're going to move down to the construction portion of this. Then we're going to add in a little bit more code here. The first one we're going to do is with the behavior tree. We're going to add this in. All right, so there's that one. And now we can go ahead and put the Blackboard components in. All right, and now that we have the Blackboard component, we're going to get the Blackboard key. In this exercise, we're only going to use one key. You will find I use BB to represent Blackboard and BT for behavior tree moving forward. So this here is going to be a U property. All right, so this, like I said, is a U property. We're going to edit defaults only, and it as well is going to be in the AI category. We're going to call this string is going to be location to go key. One last piece to put in here, and I'll kind of explain it. All right, so we're going to create a function. It's actually going to be a virtual function called void possess. And what this is going to do is run whenever a guard is spawned into the world. Okay, so now in the public area, we're going to get some constructor information here going. All right, so right here what we're going to do is, this is our constructor, and we're going to have some small pieces of code in here. And then these are just inline functions that are going to do as you would expect. One's going to return the Blackboard component, and the other one is going to return the guard target points. So we're going to go ahead and get these defined. All right, we're going to put this in the right order. Not that it matters, but it matters to me. So we're going to start right off here in the constructor. We're going to do three things. We're going to initialize the behavior tree, the Blackboard, and the key. Starting with the behavior tree and working our way down in order. And the last one is the location to go key. This here we're going to copy. We'll need that here in a little bit. But essentially this is what we're going to need to initialize each one of those three. And we're going to go ahead and pause and do a build to make sure everything runs accordingly. All right, so what we did was we forgot to create the T array. All right, so we're going to try building that, see if it gets rid of some of the errors. Perfect, that did it. So now we can continue on with the possess. And this is an override one, so we're going to need a super. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to check to see, we're going to get the guard and check to make sure that it is a guard. More importantly, that's what I was trying to say. We're going to get the possessed character and make sure that it's a guard character. All right, so now that we created the aGuard variable and we casted over the pawn into it, now we can run our conditional check. So what this condition is saying is if we have an aGuard character and our component there has a behavior tree, and if that behavior tree has a Blackboard asset, then run this code. This code essentially does end up saying in the Blackboard component, we're going to do the initialization of it. and specifically with this A character behavior tree Blackboard asset that we just checked on. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is time to fill our array. And to do this, we're going to use the Kismet function that we inherited. Get all actors of class. We're going to get the actors from the world. The subclass is going to be our guard target point, static class, and we're going to store it in our array. So again, to summarize that one, we're going to use this gameplay statics, get all actors of class. Specifically, the class that we're going to be getting is the A target point, the guard target point. And we're going to go ahead and store that in, again, our array, like I said before. And the last thing we need to do here in this section is start the behavior tree. So what we're going to do here to do this is go to behavior tree, start tree, is the sub function we're trying to tap into. And now we just need to tell it which one we want to start. And of course, we want to start our character's behavior tree. All right, so there's that. Let's do a compile and save to make sure that it works. So far, so good. So from here, what we're going to do is go back to the Unreal editor. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is make sure in our behavior tree that our Blackboard is set, which it is. Close that out. All right, and now we're going to open up our Blackboard and we're going to create a new key. It's going to be an object key that we're going to call location to go. Remember, I copied that. This is why I copied it. Over here, we got to make sure that the subclass is of actor. So we can save that and close it out. All right, so before I go any further, what we need to do is create a behavior tree task, but there's going to cause an error. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Essentially, once I get to here and I do behavior tree task and I click on this, it will let me get this far. So I'll at least type this in and do not go any further as of right now. What we need to do is come back into here and we're going to go into our build file. In here, we need to add one more to the list here, and that is gameplay tasks. Compile and save that. I misspelled it, forgot the S. This is a well-known issue that they know about, even though it was still a little tricky to find documentation on it. With that build, now I should be able to hit this class and create it, crossing fingers. If you don't do it in that order, you will get all sorts of errors. You can fix them, but it is trickier to try to fix it than it is just to prevent it. Perfect. So now with that fixed, we can go ahead and add some code to it. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and try it. It's fun. All right, so here we're going to add a couple more includes as well. The first one is going to be our guard target point. And the second one is going to be the AI guard. And the third one is the behavior tree, Blackboard component. All right. Now, in the generate body here, what we're going to do is add a little bit of a function here. It's another virtual override function, so the spelling and everything is important. There it is right there on the list. If you're wondering, it's the EBT node result. What we're going to get from that is a type, execute task, and the task is the U behavior tree. The U behavior tree component, we're going to reference the owner comp. It's a UN8 pointer to node memory. And of course, we got to override it. All right, so now what we got to do is define this. And we'll go ahead and enter the code over here in the CPP where we have more room. Doing it that way saves a whole lot of typing. So we'll go ahead and do it that way. And keep in mind, this class here does have a lot of typing anyway. So what we're going to do is get started right off the bat. So the first thing we're going to do is obtain the guard controller, and that is the AI guard. So now that we've gotten it, and we've casted it over, and we have it here, and we can hold it as a variable, we're going to run some checks to validate it. And if it is valid, we're going to go ahead and get the Blackboard component and the current position that it's in, the current point that it has stored, and then we're going to search for the next one. To do that, of course, we're going to do an if condition. If the AI guard control is true, then we're going to run this. All right, let me stop here real quick and explain as I go. So the first line here, of course, is getting the Blackboard component using that inline function that we had created. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and get the Blackboard key, location to go, and store that point here. Moving from here, now it's time to fill our target array. I just want to double check the spelling because it's saying it doesn't exist. So what I'm going to do is just to make sure this is the one that we want, get available target points. Yeah, nope. I guess it just doesn't like it because it needs to compile or something. So let's go ahead and try that. It's good a spot as any to go ahead and just test it. Because again, this is a pretty big class that we're typing with multiple sections. So I want to make sure that everything is going according to plan. All right, so the error is actually right here. I started with the wrong thing. I went with the default controller, and it's not the default controller. This is the guard. All right, and there we go. That was what the issue was. Let's close this so we don't get confused as we continue down. So that should compile now. We'll try that. Everything's good in the world. We can move on. So right now what we're going to do is create a variable. We're going to give this one a random movement ability. It's not going to go in a fixed path. It's not going to go into a fixed path, but you can change that if you wanted. I'm not going to. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set a possible target points variable here. And this is going to be a guard target point, a next target point. And we're just going to set this to null at first. Now this here, what we're going to do next is actually a do while loop. And what this is going to do is it's going to find the next, and that's going to be the condition. So essentially what it's going to do is we're going to have a do while loop that will continue to run until it gets something different than what it currently is set to. So the basic structure of this, so you can see it broken out before I type in all the code, it's going to be a while current point is equal to next target point. So essentially what this is going to do is it will continue to run the code while this condition is true. So if it runs through and these are different, it breaks out. But otherwise, if these two are the same, it will continue to run until it gets a unique key or a unique point. All right, so that's going to get us a random number within the range that we need. And then from there, we got to remember that the target point is different, so we have to make sure to cast it. By casting it, we're going to make sure we have the right data type and which we can work with. Let me go ahead and just comment that. All right, and that's the code in there. The only couple more things left to do. The first one being update the next location. And what we're going to do here for that is Blackboard component, pointer arrow, set value as object. This is tapping into the key, the Blackboard key, and we're going to set that to the next target point. Woot! This is the last piece, which essentially means if this condition and all is run from this if condition, we're going to return something other than just a type. We're actually going to return succeeded. Time to compile and save it. See if it all agrees with me that we are done. It doesn't. Why is this? Let's go ahead and take a look at the randomizer. All right, I have an extra parentheses in there. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to close that out and go to our AI blueprints, and we're going to go to our behavior tree, and we're going to start setting this all up. This isn't a video on how the behavior tree works or anything, so I will assume some knowledge of that. All right, save that. We can close that out now. We just wanted to make sure we have our task that we created here. It's moving to the location to go variable, and we're putting the weight on there. The only thing we have left to do now is to go to our blueprints that we're already in. And like I said, I was going to put it right over here. We're going to take one of our blueprints, or one of our target points, put that here. And then we're just going to make a track. Yeah, maybe at some point I'll put a fixed in, because I think it would be funny to see him running around in a circle. Like that. If we save that, compile it just for good measure, push play, and right now he should just be going from spot to spot in a random kind of pattern. Notice all the other AIs are still working independently of it. Nobody's getting confused. And that's it, guys and gals. I hope everybody found this helpful. And should you have any questions, again, just let me know, and I'll do my best to help. Thanks.